Alright guys, how's it going? My name is Nyxre and welcome to my first look at Tom Clancy's The Division. So, what is this game? Well, it's a third-person MMORPG released by Ubisoft, which takes place in the near future New York City after being torn apart by a virus which started on Black Friday. So, at least it's not too far-fetched, but still outlandish enough to make you think that it's pretty cool. So, what is this game? What do I think about it? Obviously, this is, as you can see on the upper right hand side, this is the open or closed beta actually, although it may as well be open because Nvidia did release a crazy amount of beta invite codes for anybody that really wanted one. And yeah, so obviously this is still a beta, so there are very many things which are going to change between now and the actual release of the game. However, I wouldn't get my hopes up too much, because while this is considered a beta, which obviously you would think would be used to fix bugs and things like that, really I'd prefer to call this more of a demo. Reason being that if you look over here, here's a crafting station, which is not available in the beta in absolutely any way. On top of that, here's a medical wing. This is the only part of your entire base which you can use in the beta. Your tech wing you cannot use, your security wing you cannot use. Why? I'm not entirely sure. Ubisoft just decided to leave those out, even though I'm pretty sure that in the actual release of the game these will be pretty significant features. So that being said, please don't take anything that I say in this game as an absolute positive or negative for the actual release of the game, because there is simply not enough left in this beta for us to really make a very fair judgment. Now there is enough in this beta for us to make a judgment about a few things. One of them being the entry level of PvP, the other one being the actual storyline, and the final of which being the actual gameplay. Alright, so welcome to New York City after being torn down by an infection, and it looks absolutely amazing. I'll get into that in the future, but let's go over the gameplay right now. So, this is a third-person shooter, and there's a dead guy laying here on the ground. That's great. So, obviously the controls on PC, they're not bad. I will say that. They are pretty fluid. I have played this on both, well, not on both a console and a PC, but I have played this with both a controller and with a keyboard and mouse. And right now I am playing with keyboard and mouse. You can switch between them seamlessly, and this guy is going to run away because I just pointed a gun at him for no reason. And it seems to work pretty flawlessly. I will say that using the controller does feel better with this game right now. However, I can't really fault Ubisoft for that too much, as this was a game which was originally not intended to be released on the PC. So, that being said, let's actually look at the settings for the game. Going into the graphics menu, we see graphics quality. I do have it on medium. This game is pretty demanding, and my graphics card, which is a GTX 760, is only a medium end graphics card. So obviously if I put this up to high or ultra, I'm not necessarily going to be able to maintain a stable frame rate at those levels. VSync mode, you can have auto, off, on, obviously, doesn't really matter. Frame rate limit, 30, 60, 120. 120 is good. Obviously you'd like to see it go up to 144, although you can put it on off and that doesn't matter. I leave it on off, obviously. Shadow quality, you have all these special little things, more than enough. Shadow resolution, so on and so forth. Sharpen image, you got a slider, so if you want to make it more or less sharp, you have this. Particle detail, high, ultra, low, medium, everything in between. Enabled wind affected snow, haven't actually looked at this. Apparently it just affects the way the snow works in the game with the physics engine, which obviously more options are better on PC, so even though I may or may not ever use this, obviously a major benefit. Volumetric fog, reflection quality, and all this other good stuff. Object detail, extra streaming distance, lens flare, you can turn that off if you want a more realistic looking world, I guess you could say, so that you're not looking through the world through the lens of a camera, as everyone likes to say about these games, which honestly they just overdo the lens flare, and sometimes it just takes the immersion out of the game. So, vignette effect, obviously you can change that whether or not you want to. Video, windowed mode, you have full screen, windowed, and windowed full screen. Always nice to have those three. Automatically changes the resolution. I believe it goes up to possibly 4K. Obviously, I can't test that on a 1080p monitor. Refresh rate, 60 Hz, that's my monitor. Monitor, you can change it. Nothing really too special here, but nothing necessarily missing that I can point out. Everything that should be in a PC port is here, so I do have to commend Ubisoft for that, especially with their terrible track record in the past, particularly with Assassin's Creed. Visuals, we have brightness, hints, damage numbers, which is a vital part to the MMORPG aspect of this game. Obviously, if you're shooting someone and you see numbers, you think of games like Borderlands. You think of games which are RPG based, where even though you're shooting a gun, you can see how much damage you're doing, because at the end of the day, the whole point of these games is basically to get a gun which does the most damage, so that you can get the best loot from the best bosses. So, I will also say this, the user interface, you can configure this absolutely however you want in any basically possible configuration on the PC. I really have to commend Ubisoft for this. It actually surprised me. So now that we've looked at the menus and we've seen that the game actually has what looks like pretty decent PC support, let's go look around the world. Let's see if we can find an encounter which looks like it would be over here, and we can show you guys some minor gameplay. So right now all I have on me, I have a assault rifle. Don't actually know what it is. I can look in my inventory and find out. I have a classic AK-47, I have an M4 equipped, I have an M870 shotgun, I have an MP5 but I don't have it equipped. I have all these various guns. Obviously this game is intending to be somewhat realistic, so all the guns which I have seen so far are based off of real world items, which, you know, not entirely necessary, but here's an enemy. So as you can see here, this guy's level 5, I'm level 6, as you can see in the top right. Here's an innocent guy just walking by him for no reason. And I'm going to just blast this guy off the thing, because why not? Give me some free experience. So, I'll get closer. You can use a certain level of stealth in this game. Shoot him and he's dead. You know why? Because he had a grenade on him. That is one aspect of this game which, okay, actually takes on a whole new level of approach, in the way that the enemies aren't exactly just point and shoot, although these ones are because I'm a higher level than them. But you can approach enemies in various different ways. For one, you can go complete stealth, which I don't really do very well, and I've played too many games recently that involve stealth to actually remember all the appropriate controls. But yeah. So as you can see there, now there's another guy shooting me. As you can see there, I shot this guy because he had a grenade on him, so he explodes. You can obviously wait for him to jump down, be in a group with his friends, and then you can take them all down in basically one shot, as long as it's well placed. So there are more than one way to skin a cat, essentially, in this game. Killed this guy. He dropped an incendiary grenade. That's not bad. There are various types of grenades in here. I have fragmentation grenades, incendiary grenades, flashbangs, EMPs, tear gas, shock grenades, all sorts of variety. So, as we go into here, we may or may not run into some more guys. I don't think there's anyone else back here. No. There's some stuff to loot. And we found some hunting gloves, which are green, which means they are either common, uncommon, something like that. I haven't actually gotten down the color system for this game yet. But anyways, moving on. So, what about this beta can I actually analyze? Because I have said that this beta is very limited, and it makes it really hard to analyze anything about the potential full release of the game. Main reason being, as you can see, I just obtained level 7. The max level you can get in the beta is level 8, which is not very much considering you start off the beta at level 4, and I'm not entirely sure what the actual level range will be for the full release of the game. So the beta does not have that much content in terms of actually leveling up. On top of that, there's only one main mission which I've already completed, so I can actually go back and show it to you, but I don't feel it's entirely necessary. You can always go and download this yourself, try it out if you'd like to see. And on top of that, all that is left is encounters. So this gives me a great time to show you the map user interface, which, here we go, looks absolutely amazing. I have to say, this is probably the most interesting UI I've seen for a map in any game ever. Reason being just because it is pretty much unique. I have not seen any other game actually do this. I've seen games do something similar, but not quite to this extent. As you can see, there's a red area over here. This is the PvP area. Right now you only have the first 2 levels of PvP unlocked. The other ones will obviously unlock on the full release. Alright, so it says we're 60 meters away. We're going to approach it pretty quickly and we'll see what's going to happen. This is basically all that's in the beta right now, so this is the best chance for me to show you some actual gameplay which you are likely to encounter in the full release. Alright, so we can see there's a guy over there. I don't really want to just run at him. And there's also a guy here. He's gonna die. There's a guy over here. He's gonna die. I do have allies over here. You do have allies constantly throughout the game. There are of course some missions where you're going to be going solo, but in those cases you can obviously just grab a friend, form a party, and run around as a group, which will make the game obviously more easy, but at the same time it's going to split up the loot between you four. So, Here's the other guy. I had no idea where he was from. Alright, should probably use cover since this is a cover-based game. I will point that out. This game is obviously heavily influenced by other cover-based shooters. It reminds me a lot of games like Gears of War, where you are essentially required to use cover because without it you will die, and you will die really quickly. Granted, I am in a very low level area and I am a higher level than the enemies, so I can kind of make up for being reckless and not paying too much attention because I am talking, so I'm terrible at playing this game while doing so. And here's a guy right here. And he honestly should have killed me, and if he was a higher level enemy, he probably would have. So that's basically the gist of the gameplay in the beta right now. We'll see if we can actually finish this thing. We need another 30 seconds. They're going to send in some more guys. And then after that, we will move on. So here's a guy hiding behind a cover. Headshot. He drops some ammo. That's nice. For an SMG, which I don't actually use. And as you can see, I'm just being very reckless. You don't have to do this. You can go cover to cover. You can also just dash between things by double tapping space if you're on the PC, or of course you can completely rebind it. Find this guy. Shoot that guy. Shoot that guy or miss. Alright, you know what? Let's just... yeah. Alright, so what did he drop? Looks like he dropped some kind of sniper possibly, but I can't pick it up, so... kill this final guy. Or potentially die. That could happen too. Oh yeah, well, okay, I died, so... this shows you that it says stay in cover. Obviously, I'm not the best person at this game, so I'm going to die quite a bit. I have the option of spawning back on my base of operations at the original spawn point when you join the beta, or at Camp Hudson, which is obviously a camp which is owned by allies. I'm just going to go back to the base of operations and we can move on. So, as you could have seen, I failed that small little mission, so I recovered absolutely no actual rewards for doing so. So I can't really show you these upgrades to any further extent. However, as you can see here, 20% offline. As I've said, you can't use a security wing in the beta, you can't use a tech wing in the beta, and the medical wing can only be upgraded to 20%. So I've already upgraded my base pretty much to the full extent. So let me show you real quick what the base actually does, what you can do within the base. And as I've said, it is very limited for the time being. Obviously, I also have a stash here where I can pick up weapons. You can store all your items, your drops there, or you can try and sell them somewhere else. Crash drones. I wish I could tell you what this is, but as it is the beta, this is also left out. As I've said, the beta is missing a load of content, so this makes it very difficult to judge whether or not the game will be something that you're interested upon the full release. Survival guide, also not here. Medical wing, really the only thing that is actually here. You go to use laptop, and when he actually opens it up, you can see I've unlocked quarantine, which is a palliative care for patients exposed or infected with the virus, and it unlocks you some modifications and some perks. Clinic gives you the first aid skill, medkits, things like that, pretty simple. And it actually upgrades the area around it, which means this area would go from looking like a dump, which it looks like right now, to hopefully looking slightly better as the game progressed. Hazmat unit offline, obviously not in the beta, along with everything else. So, what do I think about Tom Clancy's The Division? Well, I'll say this. The Division had me excited when they first announced it back about 3 years ago at E3. Since then, they've obviously changed quite a few things, and our experiences with other games have changed our perceptions about Ubisoft in general. So, do we still trust Ubisoft enough to buy this game? As of right now, I'm going to say there's a chance. There's a chance that I purchase this game, and I enjoy it, and that it makes me think Ubisoft isn't completely terrible. There's also a chance that I buy this game, and it turns out to be basically a shell of what everybody expected it to be. Because essentially that's what this beta is. So this beta is definitely not the best example that Ubisoft could have chosen to show us what this game is intended to be upon full release. And I know I didn't show you guys any PvP, but as of right now that's really all there is to this game, because there's so little single player content that everybody just runs to the dark zone, kills each other, tries to get the best loot that's available in the beta, and that's essentially it. Is that going to be what the real game is? Well, I certainly hope not, and I don't believe that is, but the beta is not enough for me to really tell. So, Tom Clancy's The Division, is it good for you? I don't know. Do you like third-person cover-based shooters? If so, sure, you'll probably enjoy the gameplay, Will you enjoy the actual content? That's going to be up to whether or not you enjoy the MMORPG style that the game provides, whether or not you're interested in doing PvP, whether or not you're able to find friends to form a party, because a lot of the game is centered around social interaction with other players. You are actively on a server. This game is only available online, which may turn certain people off in the first place. Obviously, for the sake of this game, it does make sense because it is an MMORPG. It is not a single player game, essentially, where you're intended to play solo, you are intended to play with a party, and basically having more people is just going to enhance your experience whether or not the game is that great or not. So, what can I say as my conclusion for the beta? Well, I'll say this. Ubisoft, next time you release a beta for a game which is highly anticipated such as this, I would at least prefer that there be enough content for us to actually fairly judge the game from the beta. And I know some people are going to criticize that. Some people are going to say, well, if it's the beta, you're not supposed to expect the full game. That's why it's called a beta. But at the same time, you shouldn't essentially be giving a demo which is missing a drastic amount of content. Because what I have seen within the game, it is good, it is fun, but it is also extremely repetitive because of the lack of content. So, are you going to buy The Division? I don't know. Am I going to buy The Division? I still don't know. The game comes out in a couple of weeks at the time of making this video, and I'm still not sure. The beta did not convince me that the game is good enough to buy. If you ask me, that means that the beta in itself was not really that great, because obviously if you release a beta and you publicize it as much as they have, you're expecting Ubisoft to basically be taking pride in the work and expecting it to generate new sales. Is that what this has done? I don't think so. Am I going to enjoy this game? Maybe. That's basically all this beta has provided. It has not given me enough to make a firm conclusion. The best advice I can advise for you right now is to look at other people's gameplay, see whether or not you could probably enjoy it that way, base it off of other games you have played. If you enjoy other MMORPGs, other third-person shooters, it's probably fair to say that you will enjoy this game at least a decent amount. Regardless of the fact if the game comes out to be extremely good or not, there are certain core aspects which are fundamental to third-person shooters and MMORPGs altogether. So, I will hold off any other further judgments about this game until the full release, and even then maybe I won't even purchase it. So for the time being, I can say the beta, it's okay. Ubisoft has shown me that they are able to optimize games properly for PC, show a very overwhelming amount of PC support considering the game was not originally supposed to be put on PC, and that's about it. As far as the actual game goes, I like the atmosphere, I really like the setting, I think they've done a really good job with that. Now, it's up to them to prove that the gameplay can be there to match it. Because unfortunately, the beta did not prove that there is enough gameplay here to really justify paying $60 for it. Because obviously while looking out here at the New York skyline will eventually get old, but not very soon. And fighting new waves of enemies that's trying to level up won't get very old, getting new loot won't get old. I need to know what the actual content's going to be like to know whether or not I'm going to want to play the game. So this has been my first look at Tom Clancy's The Division. I hope you guys have enjoyed. I hope this has given you a little bit of insight on whether or not you may be interested in checking out the beta, whether or not you may be interested in pre-ordering the game, although I would heavily advise against you doing so, simply due to the fact that you should never pre-order a game no matter what, especially from a company which has a terrible track record of releasing games which are essentially not finished, essentially not running very well, and are lacking in pretty much every feature. However, from this video, hopefully you can at least decide whether or not your interest has peaked enough to where you can investigate further, wait for the game to come out, wait for some full reviews, and make your judgment from there. Anyways, this has been Nyxre. I hope you guys have enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.